So, today we're going to talk about standing out in a crowded market and how to find your market dominating position. Because think about it, you have a lot of competitors out there, right? Especially in the coaching industry, it has become flooded. It's become flooded. But here's the thing, there's what, over 2 billion people on Facebook every single day, right? And and on TikTok there's tons more, and on Instagram there's a whole bunch more, and you have a lot of reach, and people are going to find you for you, right? They're going to relate to you, they're going to like your personality or like your style or just feel more comfortable with you or whatever it is. So you can stand out in the market, but I want to just talk about all of this and how it's affecting your productivity when it comes to marketing your business, okay? So you have a lot of competitors and you teach a lot of the same things, right? Especially if you went through like a certification program for weight loss or for life coaching. A lot of them go through these certification programs, and then you learn these different skills and these different ways to guide people through the process of the transformation that you provide, right? And then not only that, you're after that same target audience. And so you may be providing the same services and everything. So how are you going to stand out for these people? Because all the gurus tell you, you got to, find your perfect people. You got to tell them things that, relate to them and relate to the struggles that they're having. And then you need to show how you are different from everybody else in the market, right? And that is the tricky one, because you're like, geez, I do the same things all these other coaches do. And it's really true. A lot of us do the same things. But here's the thing, we all have a special angle that we're probably overlooking, right? We're probably overlooking. And it could be things that we just provide naturally that we're not even saying out loud. Okay, so let's go through this scenario. I have a story. I have a story for you. So, Russell Brunson, you know who Russell Brunson is. He's the ClickFunnels guy, right? The co-founder of ClickFunnels, and he is, one of our, biggest icons, right, in the coaching industry. And so he was telling a story about how he helps people create that, market domination or that market dominating position, or get their positioning in the marketplace so that they can show the value, right? They can create a high perceived value for the same thing that other people are providing, right? So here's the story. I love this story. So the story goes like this. He's at a conference and he brings up a family on stage, and they have a 12-year-old daughter, and that 12-year-old daughter is just starting a babysitting business. So she's babysitting for people around the neighborhood or whatever, and he asks her, so what do you charge for babysitting? And she says, $5 an hour. And he says, why do you charge $5 an hour? And she said, well, that's what my friends charge. And so he then said, well, so what does that look like then? The parent just goes through a list of all the different babysitters and just goes down the list until they find one that's available, right? And she said, yeah, pretty much. Okay, he said, so tell me about what you do when you babysit a kid. She says, well, I take them outside to play so that they don't just sit around and watch TV or play video games. I take them outside, make sure they get sunshine and exercise. I make sure that they're fed. I make sure that they're cleaned up. And I make sure that the house is clean, the dishes are done, and everybody's put to bed on time. So he says, oh, wow, you do all those things, do you? And she said, yes. And so he says, well, doing all those things, I would easily pay $20 an hour for those services. Wouldn't you agree? And she said, well, yeah, but how do I stand out in the crowd, right, of all these other babysitters? And that is exactly his point. She does all these things. They don't have to worry about coming home after being out on a lovely evening together, on a date night or whatever. They come home and the babysitter's done nothing, the house is destroyed, the kids are still awake, and everybody's filthy. They don't have to worry about that with her, because she puts it out in public, right, on her flyer that she creates. Your house will be clean. Your kids will be to bed on time. Your kids will not just sit around and do nothing or sit around and watch video games. I'll take them outside. I'll get them exercise. All of these things, right? She is now stating those things out loud, right? And once you state those things out loud, it becomes an expectation that you are going to provide those things. It becomes a guarantee. I guarantee I will provide these things, right? And so by doing that, she's pointing out these things and saying them out loud, where the other babysitters might do those things too, right? But they're not saying them out loud. So the parents cannot really expect that to happen. Well, now those people are going to be much more educated, right? If this babysitter isn't available, perhaps they're going to go to these other babysitters and say, well, will you make sure the house is clean? Will you make sure that this is done and that's done, and etc., right? And so that's the idea, right? So here's an exercise for you to do, right? List all the things that you do for your clients, right? So one of the things that I do, like, I have these coaching programs, right? I have one that's called the Business Foundation Accelerator and one that's called Business Profit Accelerator. The Business Foundation Accelerator is for, new coaches, or course creators who don't have their first paying client, or have only, worked with a couple people, maybe their friends or something like that, where they kind of know they have something and they're ready and willing to do the work. They just don't really know how or what to do, right? So what I do is I help them, get their business stood up, get their website up and running, get a lead magnet going so they can attract leads, learn how to market and campaign, do a monthly campaign and a monthly content creation cycle, and then create a live event that they do. And I do it in a 3-month period. So they have 3 months to get this whole thing set up. And then after that, they can repeat it monthly, every 2 months, or every 6 weeks, or 8 weeks, or every 12 weeks, whatever they're comfortable with, right? And the more often they repeat it, the better, the more money they can make if they just keep repeating it and they're growing their audience all the time with the organic strategy that I provide, right? And then if they're a coach that works with entrepreneurs, I introduce them to other JV partners so that they can grow their list even faster. Okay, so that's another thing I do that I don't really talk about. Another thing that I do that I don't really talk about is I help them be more productive by teaching them the Scrum framework, and then we try to follow that Scrum framework, and I show them how to set up their Jira board or Trello, whatever their board of choice is, so that they know how to manage their work, right? So they're getting all of these things in my package, not just the foundational pieces of their business put into place, right? And the guarantee is that they will get their first paying client, right? Or I work with them for free until they do. So that's kind of the idea behind that whole thing. And those other pieces that, that I don't really say out loud, those are things I should be saying, right? That I also help you manage your work so you don't get an overwhelm. I, lay things out for you in a step-by-step process so that you don't get overwhelmed. You just go through each level and get the thing done, and that's it, right? Same thing with you. List all the things that you do that are maybe obvious, maybe seem obvious, but they aren't necessarily obvious to somebody else looking from the outside in, right? You understand what I'm saying? And so that's the idea about how that will work, right? Once you start laying things out, then you can start finding the things that you do that nobody else does, right? One of the things that I do that most business coaches or marketing coaches don't do is helping with productivity and overwhelm and all that. They might structure their program, but they don't really say it overtly like I do, where you're going to learn the Scrum framework and learn how to live within the framework of the Scrum methodology, or it's a framework, it's the Agile methodology, and learn to build your business in the Agile methodology so that you can do an iterative process of building your business, and you're not just that, one and done, and then it just ages out and it's gone. You learn and understand the iteration of your business, and how as you learn more skills, your business will grow and expand, right? And so that is the idea of how you will do this. And then the other thing I want you to do is say, why does it matter? Why does it matter that you do those things? For me, it matters because implementation is one of the hardest things for people to do when they join a coaching program, especially in a 3-month coaching program. Everything is so rapid that they barely have their head wrapped around the idea or what their niche is or anything, and they're being pushed forward into this. You got to keep doing this, you got to keep doing this. And so by teaching them the agile principles, right, and the framework of Scrum, I show them how the iterative process, like you take a stab at it and you put it out there, and then you just keep improving on it. That way you can accept less than perfection, so you can make progress in this rapidly moving environment, right, which is a 3-month coaching program. It's fast, it goes by fast, right? And implementation is one of the biggest problems. People fail in those programs because they don't implement. And that's what I'm trying to prevent by teaching them this process, so they don't get stuck in their heads in perfectionism. They keep moving forward, keep iterating through, taking a stab at it, repeating the process, and then getting better at it. So that's one of the things that you want to try to do as well, right? Is why do those things matter? What are you teaching that you just make part of your program, right? But is something that you should be pointing out to people because it's something that you provide that perhaps no other coaches do, right? Perhaps nobody else does, or they do, but they don't say it. And so you're raising that perceived value, but not only are you raising the perceived value, you're also, you're making a commitment by putting those things out there on the table for everybody to look at, everybody to see. It's public knowledge, and you are guaranteeing that you are going to do these things for them, right? That is the idea of standing out in that crowded market. Even when people are going through the same trainings as you, and they're going to be a life coach alongside you, and their target audience is the same exact target audience, you're still doing something that's special to you that nobody else is doing. Or you are the only one who's spelling it out and guaranteeing that thing, right? And guaranteeing that thing. Okay? So that's kind of the idea. And so think about, as a life coach, you might be, meeting with them once a week, and you might be doing all these things, but maybe there's something special in there that you do that helps them implement, right? That's an extra service or an extra piece of education, extra training, extra support, or whatever it is that makes it so that your people are successful in your program, right? That's kind of the idea. That's what you're trying to do. So list all the things you do for your clients, everything. Even if you think it's insignificant right now, just list everything. Then list, why does that thing matter? And why do you do it, right? Why do you do it? And why does it matter? And then, I want you to understand the difference between moving toward something, right? And instead of moving away from something, because people buy things because they want to move towards something that they want and they don't have, or move away from something that they have and do not want, right? So think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs has, basic human needs, right? There's, protection of self and others. There's, making sure that they're fed and all of those things too, right? That's the real basic stuff. But when we get a little bit further, there's, status, there's, friends, family, relationships, there's status, prestige, self-confidence, right? All those things. People don't need to buy a Lexus, but they will, right? Because they want that status. They want the quality. They want to show the world that they are successful, and they want to reap the benefits of being successful, right? And then fear, fear or pain, or, so think about symptoms that they have because of the problem. Because remember too that a lot of the people that you're serving, and sometimes I think that as coaches we tend to talk about things like people already know what we're talking about, right? And so in fact I have a client right now I've been working with who I kind of feel that way. It's like they're talking on their website, everything, they're talking to people as if they already know what that service is, rather than educating them on what the service is. And how do we educate them on what the service is? By educating them on the symptoms that they're having and the cause of those symptoms, right? Because people could be symptom aware, but not problem aware. Do you see the difference there? So the symptom is they have fear and anxiety and stress and whatever. And the problem is, right, that they don't have clarity and focus about what they want and who they are and what they want to be, and they're letting themselves ping pong around and be pushed around by others because they don't have their own clarity, right? Well, people may not be putting those symptoms together with that problem, and then you're there providing the solution and talking about a solution that they don't even understand that they have the problem yet, right? They're still in the symptoms and feeling those symptoms and hating those symptoms. That's why we talk about all the time, talking about those symptoms so that they can relate. Like, God, I feel that way all the time. I feel anxious about this thing, X, Y, and Z all the time, right? And so then they say things to you like, man, when I read that post, I felt like you were talking directly to me. You see what I'm saying? And that's what you're trying to do, right? You're providing a journey to a transformation that they want. You are a transformational coach, right? Or a transformational service provider. And so when you're first getting them out there in the wild, right, they are possibly not even aware of their problem, just aware of the symptoms. So understanding the difference of those things and then tying in all the things that you provide into that emotion of how does it alleviate that symptom? How does it stop that symptom? How does it bring awareness to the problem, right? To know what's going on. And then how does my solution fix that problem so they stop having that symptom? So that is the idea between that. And so now, lastly, I want to talk about how all this affects your productivity, okay? Because this is the big problem. A lot of times we struggle in coaching programs, or our people struggle, your clients will struggle, or you will struggle, particularly as a marketer, because you don't have this clarity yet. You don't have this, how you stand out in the marketplace yet. And that's causing an obstacle that you can't get over, right? And so when you can't get over it, what do? You procrastinate, you avoid, you're inconsistent with your marketing, you're haphazard. Maybe you have a stroke of brilliance, you have a stroke of brilliance one day, and then the next day you're stumped, you have no idea what to do. And a lot of that will boil down to your lack of clarity on what you provide and your lack of confidence that you provide something different than everybody else is doing, right? And that is the idea, right? You have to stand out. You got to think about all your competitors being in the same little town, right? You've created this little town, right, on social media, right, with all the few hundred or few thousand followers, or people in your loop, people that show up in your feed, all that. It's like creating a small town, right? Among billions of people. And so if you think about that in your small town, how many people are direct competitors to you that are in your little small town? And that's where, your little house, your little storefront needs to stand out and look a little bit better than everybody else's. And that's how you do it, by getting that perceived value up, by helping them understand your total, the total transformation that they're going to get, right? Not just the tools, the education, the what's they're going to get, right? They need to know the transformation they're going to get. They need to know what symptoms will be relieved, right? When they work with you. What symptoms will be relieved, what problems will be resolved, and then what transformation is what you're going to do. And when we don't have that clarity and we don't understand that, that's when we can't get going on social media and get consistent and do those things. So that doesn't mean you can't fake it till you make it. And I'm telling you, I did. For 5 years now, I've been going live in this Facebook group, and I talk about all things about productivity, procrastination, time management, perfectionism. I talk about marketing. I talk about all this stuff. And the reason why I talk about all these things and it might not seem related is because our marketing problems stem from lack of clarity, and then that causes productivity problems because we don't get things done, right? We don't get things done. Okay, so that's kind of the idea. So this is a sneak peek into my masterclass that is coming up at the end of the month. I have a Zoom masterclass every last Wednesday of every month. I've been doing it. This is my 5th month, I think, or 6th month that I've been doing this now. It is called the Business Engine Optimization, the 5-step profit acceleration formula. And this is one of the things that I'm going to dive into deeper so that you really understand what it is you need to do tactically to help yourself stand out in that crowded market. Now you kind of understand the concept a little bit more, and we'll go through that in depth in the masterclass. But this is how you're going to help yourself end these productivity and procrastination problems, is by getting more clarity and having an agenda of things, right? So you can take action every single day that's focused in on making sure that you are clear on what you're doing, making sure that you're doing that thing consistently, right? Instead of haphazardly, and creating a system that you can repeat over and over and over again, so you can start doing it on autopilot and quit second guessing yourself. And then as the iterative process goes, you just continue to improve and improve and improve with every round, right? With every month. That's why we repeat things, right? Because we want to keep getting better, keep expanding it, keep doing it better and getting better results. That is the idea, right? So that's what I teach. And I'm going to teach you how to get your business engine running, right? So if you don't have your business engine running, understanding what that business engine is really critical, right? Because here's the thing, when you're consistent on social media and you're consistently, posting to YouTube and you're consistently doing all of these things, you're creating buzz around your brand, right? You're creating buzz, and you're creating buzz not just with people, but with the algorithms. And so then when somebody who maybe has been seeing you in their feed on social media and they go out and look for a life coach, your name might pop up first because you're in their area, or you've been in their feed. They've seen you on social media, they've interacted with your stuff on social media, and now they go look on the web and there you are because they've already interacted with you. And I guarantee you, when you post on social media on a regular basis, I don't care what it is, and you can take my word for it because I created the social media marketing kit for introverts and avoiders because I did the same thing. And you can ask me about that in the DMs if you're interested in that course. But the reason why I created it was because what you're trying to do in the early days is create buzz around your brand. And it's not necessarily about perfection and getting it right and making sure you do videos and you got it in high quality and all these things. Like, you just got to do the best you can do until your skills get better, right? So why not start now? Why not start now? Get that business engine going, because once the engine is going and it's humming along, you'll start seeing people trickling into your life, right? People coming in from social media, people popping in, to your Facebook group, and you say, where did you find me? And they say, oh, I saw you on Instagram, or I watch your podcast every week, or I saw you on TikTok, I saw you on LinkedIn, I saw you on YouTube, right? That's the idea, right? And so that's what I help teach my people, is creating that omnipresence business engine. And I do it in a way that's efficient and is not like gonna, kill you every single month and leave you with no energy left to do anything else, right? But if you talk to many gurus out there, they'll say 75% of your time needs to be going to building your business, which is marketing. So much of it in marketing, right? So, but what happens is a lot of times is people who start these little coaching businesses and stuff, they don't even think about that at first. They just think about, oh, I got to get my website up and I got to get clients. And they leave social media and they leave marketing out of the picture for a long time. And that causes a problem because then they struggle to get clients, and before they can even get the engine running, right, they're already out of business. So that's the idea, is you want to get your engine running fast, early, right? Early, so that you can start building your skills and getting better and better and better. And then when you do have an audience and you are more established, you're better at social media so that you can, really be more effective on social media. So that's kind of the idea, right? And I started off slow. I never did videos or anything on social media. I did images only, and that's what my strategy is all about, is just using images, not creating video. Because then you got to learn how to edit, and you got to learn how to do all that stuff, right? That's a whole nother learning curve. So that's kind of the idea, right? Is that I'm trying to make it easier for you so that you can get this engine running, and that's what my masterclass is all about. So you can get signed up at CherylT.com/sign up. HTTP CherylT.com/sign up. Yeah, that's correct. Should be. Now it says something went wrong. So, oh, there it is. There it is. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here. All right, guys. So anyway, that is all I have for today. I hope that was helpful, and I hope that it helps you understand how productivity and marketing are very much tied together, and those bad habits that you have that you complain about, right? Like being disorganized, not being able to manage your time well, not being productive, procrastinating, perfectionism, all those things can be alleviated, at least in some part, by getting your branding, not your branding, but your position in the market more clear. And by doing that, you're going to be, creating that value proposition, right? So you're going to be raising the eyebrows of the people that are following you, because you're going to be talking about the things that you do that maybe nobody else does, or that you do that everybody else does, but they're not talking about it. All right, so give it a try and see what you think and let me know. All right, okay, guys, I will see you in the comments, and hopefully I'll see you at the masterclass. Okay, bye.